Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is KarQ. Welcome to the KarKives, the KarQ Archives YouTube channel, where I used to do VOD reviews, but now I've been doing a lot of tier list content and gameplay. I'm in a new setup. Peep the lights. For this video, we'll keep it blue for Anna, because we're gonna do Anna maps tier list. Like, which maps is Anna good in? Chat. I'm doing this live, by the way, so chat's down below. Say hi, everybody. You guys are gonna be on the second channel, the KarKives. Main channel being KarQ. Some of you guys are coming to the stream without even knowing I make the tip videos and stuff on the main channel and are only know me for tier lists. And listen, tier lists are super subjective. Some people like to argue with me in the comments like, oh my God, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh my God, there's a comment where some guy's like, this guy's clearly a DPS player, blah, 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 blah. Like, they don't know I main support, and they thought like my opinion are so bad that I was a DPS player because I didn't understand supports or something like that. It's always funny to see tier lists and people get rattled over it. This is just my opinion as an Ana main who is with over 1,000 hours. I've hit 4,500. I'm not 46. I'm no ML7, but I'm decent enough and ranked that you can choose to listen to me or not on what I think is a great Ana map, a still good Ana map, like good, depends, or bad Ana map. Now, maps have a lot of different phases to them, like there's first phase, second phase, third phase. Like Ana's good on, you know, first point defense Numbani, I would say, but not great attacking sometimes. Like, there's so many different factors that go into it. So I'm gonna try to like average it out and rate it based on that. Let's start with Blizzard World. I think Anna's pretty good on Blizzard World, all things considered, both on attack and defense. Harder on attack, especially second, because you basically always have to start low ground, or unless you go up the stairs on the left side, in which Baptiste is probably better, because Baptiste can always jump up and down. On defense, I like Anna on Blizzard World quite a bit. Stronger on defense, bit more meh on offense. Busan has 3 maps inside. Like, how do you do a map tier list when there's 3 maps in one? Just so listen to me verbally when I say it here and how I rate it, okay? Because I can only rank it one time. Downtown, Ana is good. I think it's a pretty strong sniper map. No, downtown, I think I'd actually rank it like, depends. Depends on the comp they're running. I take it back. Downtown, I'll put it here. Snipers are good on this map if you're a Hanzo or Ashe or Widow, strictly because you can climb up to the high ground looking down. But if you're an Ana, you're always stuck on flat, low ground that it's kind of ass compared to the other snipers. Like Coach Gun, like Ashe can Coach Gun to that high part, all the other snipers can. But because like Ana's like strictly on the ground, it depends what comp they're running. You could it's still okay though, it's not like terrible. The next map is Meka base. I also rate it here, it just depends. There are some long sight lines for it, but it depends what comp the enemy team is running. If they're running like double shield, it's very hard to play Ana into it. Sanctuary, the really open map with the drum in the middle, I would actually put it here. I would put still good for it, if that makes any sense. Because like I think the sight lines there are at best. You get a lot of coverage on both sides. You can really hide behind the right side. You can look at all 3 like intersections, like the main area, stairs on the right, stairs on the left. I like this side. But if we averaged out the 2 depends and the 1 still good, I think it would average out on depends. Dorado, I think Dorado is one of Anna's better maps as well because of whatchamacallit. Second defending, it's really good on high ground because of like the cross. Because like when you play Dorado second and you're like playing the high ground on the opposite side, you're literally untouchable unless they have a certain comp to deal with you. However, attacking second phase, like with the church, even though it's not a church, it's a courtyard or courthouse, attacking second on Ana is actually like bad. Like, it's so hard to play it unless you all move together collectively. So only the second phase is like good on one end, bad on the other. It's hard to say where I'd put it. So overall, first point, Anna's kind of rough on attack too at first, actually, unless you go high ground left. Third, she's actually now that you can still get aggro nades on offense first and third, but doing it on second is just impossible because from down looking up, it's really hard to nade. Defense on all 3 is good though. So if we average it out, I guess it depends. These tier lists are hard, man. Again, this is just my opinion. I don't want to get this. Yeah, it's so hard to even find one that's great because like there's so many different phases on maps. I don't even know how tier lists like this is supposed to work. Whatever, we're winging it. This is like bottom of the barrel content. It's just for fun. You don't have to take it too seriously. It's just my opinion. It's just an opinion piece. Eichenwalde, I actually think this is pretty good, like on all 3 phases. The weakest phase for Ana is attacking second. It's every map second phase has so much like defender's advantage because you start on high ground. But I love my attacking nade on first point. I do that one all the time. Second phase, the best way around it is to actually just collectively move towards the castle. If you can get around that first corner where they're not on the top of the castle looking down, then Ana's like good overall on this map, I would say. On defense, Ana's great on all 3, in my opinion. I think she can definitely pop off on all 3. Arguably great, but Baptiste kind of does what Ana does better on this. There's a lot of high ground that you can drop and go back up on. As long as you don't get forced out of your position on defense, Ana's very good. But that's why Baptiste is so strong, because even if he gets forced down, he can just jump back up. Like, there's just more options with Bap. This is not a Bap tier list. This is Ana specifically. Hanamura, depends, I would say. I do like it though, personally, both on offense and defense. On offense, to play Ana on offense here, you kind of just have to play off the first nano, because it's very hard to push the choke dry unless your team just like catches an enemy off position at the higher ranks. But a lot of times if we run like Winston Zarya or something here, you just play off taking a bunch of poke at the choke and then just play off the nano boost. And that's your entry to get in. It's very hard to cross the first point. Second point, you're also kind of stuck on the high ground back right. Unless you can get out there, then your sight line, like as soon as you go top right on attack, then you move to the left and your team has control of the point and you have the space, then you dominate. But there's too many factors to get there. If you're constant, sometimes if you just get like held back and you can't cross the first like weakest parts of Ana on those maps, then Baptiste is just better to get you through because of the immortality field. So I would say this one's more depends. Havana, I actually like it. Still good. This is a very sniper heavy map, and I'm a big fan of long sight lines for Ana. I would say Ana's very good on this map. Not much to say. All 3 phases she's great on. Second phase isn't as harsh to play against compared to like Eichen or Dorado, where like there's a lot of high ground. There is a lot of high ground on second when attacking, but it's not as like unattainable because you got stairs and you got different ways to maneuver around it. And then as an Ana, sometimes if we're playing double shield with Ana, like yes, I play Ana with double shield sometimes. I know it's not optimal, whatever, but I can challenge their enemy Widows and Hanzos if I have a bit of a shield as well. It allows me to add some pressure there. That's the good stuff. Hollywood. I like Ana on Hollywood too. Honestly, I don't even think there's any of them that are like great because it's so hard to rank. I would say it's good. Most phases. Attacking is good. Second phase, a little rough again because of the starting high ground. Third phase is good on attack. Defense, first point, great. Second phase, great. Third, good. Ilios, 3 maps. Ilios Ruins, bad. I still play it there. Maybe it still depends, but in general, I think Ilios Ruins is so hard to play Ana in sometimes because a lot of teams will run dive on Ilios Ruins. Ilios Ruins is a lot of tracers and a lot of balls and a lot of Widowmakers. And Ana, yes, she's a sniper. Ilios Ruins tends to be a sniper map, but again, because Hanzo, Widow, and Ashe can go high ground looking down, your sight lines on Ana are so hard because if you ever want to peek to heal somebody, there's 6 million pillars and walls in front of you, and if you do peek to heal, they just dive you or they snipe you because they have the angle and you don't. Ilios Ruins, bad for Ana. I would suggest not playing it unless you're very experienced or they don't have the comp that can deal with you. Ilios Lighthouse is actually pretty good. I like Ilios Lighthouse because you can stand up on whatchamacallit, that little like fence thingy on the high ground and like hide half your body, tuck it away, and then like shoot downwards towards the point. It's called a lattice, yeah, for the Ilios Well thing. Thank you, or Ilios Lighthouse. That one's pretty good actually. And same with Ilios Well. I think Well you can either hug right side or left side. Both sides of the place outside of the well are actually pretty solid for her. So with 1 bad, which is Ruined, and 2 good with Ilios, with the other 2 Ilios maps, I guess it averages out to depends. But it's very important if you guys watch this tier list to listen to the rationale between all 3 maps before just looking at the picture and being like, oh, why is he putting the map there? I explained my thought process there. Junkertown. I actually think Junkertown's actually a pretty good map, if not great for Ana. I'm a big fan of this. First point defense, like actually great. I think the sightlines are good. You always start like on the elevated area, so you just look down and just get easy nades a lot of the times because a lot of teams run double shields. First phase, great. Second phase, great. Third phase, depends as an Ana. Third phase defense is where I would probably consider switching depending on how the team fight's going. Just because it's very hard to get up on the, I mean, you can jump up onto the fidget spinner, but like they usually control it, or your team, like you have, it depends on your teammates if they can control the fidget spinner. If you have no fidget spinner control, third phase is tough for Ana. On offense, Ana is pretty good too on Junkertown. Second phase, depends on how your comp is playing. Third phase, same idea. Overall, I think I like it so much on defense, I would rate it pretty good for that reason. King's Row, great for Ana. Great for Baptiste, great for Ana. You can run a lot of different Ana comps here. There's not so much high ground that just dominates. Ana's always a classic hero to play on this map. She's very fun. Long sight lines on first, second, and third. First phase attack, you can just run around the statue. You build fast nanos, play off that tempo. Second phase, there's a lot of different ways to play it around. A couple of mega health packs that are accessible to you as backup. Third phase, it's great if they, just play back where the payload is and let your team play in the front. On defense, first point, there's a lot of options to play behind the hotel. Second phase, yeah, there's a lot of splash nade opportunities. That's a good way to put it. Because a lot of teams tend to play like ground-based heroes, a lot of Ryan Zaryas here, maybe Ryan Divas, not as much like high ground dominance. You can get a lot of good splash nades off the walls here. Not much to say there. Great map. Okay, Lijiang, there's 3 maps, so listen to me explain all 3 before you look at the picture and be like, why did he place it there? I'm averaging it out. Control center, pretty good. I think Baptiste is a better option though, in most cases. Any place you can run an Ana in control center, run the Baptiste instead. But if you were to choose Ana, it wouldn't be like a throw by any stretch. Still pretty good. What's the other one? Garden. Which one's Garden? Is Garden the one with the bridge? I always mix them up. There's Garden and there's the last name. I always forgot. I'm gonna have to have chat clarify that. Okay, if Garden's the one with the bridge, that one is dependent. Night Market's the last one. Thank you with TV Strat. Okay, so let's start with Garden. I put Garden at depends. You can't really push through the bridge unless you're with the team and you know you're not gonna get booped. And then if you push left side, into the white halls, is what we call it sometimes, like the lighter area, the white area. It depends. I think Baptiste just does a better job if you're gonna run a strat into there. If you already have control of the point, then the long sight lines are great for poking, but I don't know, you don't have much mobility and it's very hard to get a lot of peeling here. So I think this depends too much. And then with Night Market, I think Baptiste just does a better job, like, because a lot of teams run Symmetra on Night Market now to teleport up to the high ground. And with Symmetra comps, TPing there and getting there first is really important. And getting there first means having Immortality Field will allow you to stabilize a lot better than what Ana can do. So I would rate that like a bit lower. I rate Ana lower on that map for that reason. So overall, I'll put Lijiang as depends. I think Baptiste does a better job on all 3 maps because they do a lot of similar things. Nepal, I'm going to start with Sanctum. I actually think Sanctum is fucking great. I don't know if any Ana players here agree with me. Maybe some disagree, but I love Sanctum. If there's any map to play great for Nepal, it would be Sanctum. Long sight lines, you play on the cubby side, you play with one of your DPSs there, and you just dominate because you have sight lines of the entire point, and you can, if they rush you on the stairs here, you actually have easy side nades and splash nades to defend yourself. And you have a mini health pack right beside you and a mega inside the room if you need to back up into there. So Sanctum, I rated as great. Shrine is the one with the elephant statues everywhere, right? So the elephant statue ones, I think Baptiste does a better job in every way on that map compared to Ana. That one depends. If they have a fast comp, you just kind of have to, you end up playing below the stairs if the enemy team has space on the point, and playing below the stairs is just the worst. You know what I'm talking about? You're uphill, exactly. Shrine is very hard because of uphill. So for that, it just depends. If you have control of the top of the point, then you look forward, like, it's good. But if you're falling behind, you just never, it's really hard to build tempo back up there. And then Village, I think Village is pretty good because if they come in any direction, any of the 2 entrances. There's kitchen, which a lot of teams don't take. There's main, and then there's like that little top small room. If they ever come up that small top room, you just splash a nade over their head, free. If they play, they go main, it's also a pretty easy nade because they're in the open, they get sniped. That map is pretty good for Ana, I would say. So with 1 great, 1 depends, and 1 still good, I would rate overall Nepal. Pretty good map for Ana. Numbani, defense first point, great. I actually think this is a pretty solid Ana map. On first, I actually think the sightlines when you play across on the high ground on defense Numbani is fantastic. Same on second point, a lot of high ground to start from, and third is pretty good. I think Numbani defense, great. Numbani offense first point, depends. It almost is bad sometimes because you're just stuck. If you ever do the option of going through the top room on attack, you should play Baptiste because it's just easier to play with your team there. Pump the heals, get a lamp around the corner. If you go main, like it could work, but it depends on how your tanks play that because they can easily, if they don't take the space above you, they just look down and kill you at main. So attacking Numbani A, like so bad, but could work depending on your team. Second phase, also depends a little bit. There's a lot of that green bus blocks a lot of your sight line because your team rounds the corner to the right of the bus and then moves to the left. So you'd either need to start on the high ground or like you need to like slowly work your way to the left. The sight lines suck on second, so it's still dependent. Third is okay, is actually pretty good. Because third is pretty open space. So great defense, very dependent offense for the first half and good at the end. I'll average it out to a pretty good Ana map. Oasis. Let's think about this here. First one let's talk about is University, indoor one. That one's pretty good. I think the indoor University one is, I think Baptiste does a better job on that map too, but there's not that much high ground to worry about on that map. It's just if the DPS control that top left, you can hug it a little bit. If your team plays on the inside, you can just pump heals from a safe distance. There's not too many flank angles that a flanker could take to get behind you. This just depends on how your team plays that map in general. I don't think Ana's bad on that map though by any stretch, so I'm gonna keep it at good for University. The jump tower one, I forgot what it's called. The one with the dildo in the middle and the jump tower. That one depends. Depends if you have a brig babysitting you. If you're gonna play in the open at main. If you can hold high ground and you have control of the point, it's good. If you're playing from behind, like the enemy team captured the point and they have all that high ground where the jump tower is and top of dildo, and you're playing behind your tanks, like pushing in, it kind of sucks, I'll be honest with you, because you can't even get to the high ground and get to your spots that you need to be getting into. So it's a very snowbally style on the second on that map, so that's a dependent. And then the third map is Gardens again. They also call this one Gardens, right? Gardens on that map is, what should I call it? Not my favorite, I'll be honest. If you fall behind, same reasons as the other ones. If you lose the point and you try to push through, it's so hard. You can only go through hookah and you go through main, and those angles kind of suck. You have to kind of like be peeking to do it. And if you're gonna peek outside hookah to get an angle to shoot your teammates, it's very easy to get like hit by a lot of random projectiles or them dive you. I think that one's meh, depends. So I think overall, like 2 really bad / dependent maps plus 1 good one averages out to depends. Rialto, I actually think Rialto is great at all fronts, to be honest with you. Rialto is pretty good on defense first point, like actually really good. I really like off defense Rialto. Second point too, especially if you have a shield holding, they can't cross that open bridge. And third point also solid as well. So great on all 3 on defense. On offense, first phase, a little tough to break the first corner, but if you can break that corner, I mean, you just honestly, the way Ana's played on first point is you just play for nano boost and pray something happens. It's very, you can flank a little bit to the left and get a cheeky nade. And depending on how far they push, you can splash a nade too. Second phase, as long as you play with your team and tanks to push past that open bridge, then you're golden. You should be able to do just fine. And then third phase, you are playing a little bit uphill on third, but It would be like, I'd rank it down on offense, but it's really great on defense. I'll just keep it at great. I'm just a Baptiste fan page. It's just Baptiste is such a tuned hero. He's just so good overall. It's hard to compare. It's because the mobility of Baptiste and Immortality Field just makes him more dominant on a lot of these maps for that reason. Okay, so we have Route 66. Route 66 defense, I actually really like defense first. I like defense. I don't like defense second on Ana. Just because if I have to peek over in the open, I need a shield, or like I almost feel like there's nowhere to go on defense. I don't like defense second. Third, I really like. And then on offense, attacking, I actually really like it as well. I get a good opening nade. I get to move up to the top of the cave and get a great angle there. On attacking second is also a little bit difficult. I'm not really sure which way to go. It just depends on how my team plays. I always have to make, like, there's always like, I have to adjust a lot. So there's a lot of dependence on second phase, but like there's always like a static default on the other phases, which are always solid. Attacking third is good once your team is like, the payload's pretty close. If the payload's kind of stuck around the first corner, then it's very hard. Overall, it's pretty good. It's not terrible for her. Second phase is the hardest part, but everything else is good. Anubis depends. It's kind of in between these two. Attacking Ana is actually pretty tough unless you get an opening nade. It just depends on how your team plays it. Your sight lines are a little bit limited because you're from down looking up, whether you go left or right. If you go right side, you have to have your team with you, or else you're just screwed because they just look down and shoot you. If you walk through main underneath, you get killed. You can only go left side. Attacking is so hard on this map. On defense first is good because you're just always top looking down. Defense second, I'd actually rank it on depends. I'm hit or miss on defense on second because it's good if you can peek that main hallway, but you're always defaulting back to that like left block corner, which does protect your sight line, but it also means you can't heal your team that's like really aggressive. So it just depends too much on how your team sets up their defense. There's a lot more things that block your sight lines, which could help keep you alive because it's natural cover, but you're not being sneaky because everybody knows where Ana's play on this map, that at the higher levels, it gets punished quite a bit. Here, it's just too much dependent factors, I would say. Volskaya, depends. If you're attacking, like going right side where the tractor is like, I'm not a fan of that, honestly. I'm really not. I like going left side because it gives me a lot more options to shoot and nade into their mega. It gives me an angle to nade into the defensive mega, and I can challenge any sniper playing on the high ground across from me. If they have control above that left side on offense and we don't clear it, I don't have a diva or anybody clear it. It just depends on how my team plays it. They need to clear it. Ana is almost always good on defense, yeah, for that reason, because she's a sniper and she can establish herself already in a spot. On offense, it's always attacking Ana is always is going to inherently be more difficult because she has to move into like spots depending on the team versus always being being set up already, if that makes any sense. So intuitively, it already makes sense in that regard. Attacking second is a little difficult as well. Depends on your team. You go up the little like elevator and you just play up there for a bit. Yeah, it depends. Defense Ana is actually pretty good too on both sides because you start high ground. But there's a lot of factors that a lot of times I end up having to switch to. I find myself switching out of Ana when it doesn't work versus like Rialto or King's Row. I can just like sit on Ana the whole game and nobody really complains. You have to just be ready to switch. I'm going to put that on depends. Gibraltar, I would put this at pretty good right away. First point attack is probably the hardest point to get through. Sometimes second as well. Third is okay, but defense Gibraltar, I like rated as great because same idea, defense everything. Defense starting that high ground, starting blue box or starting the cross high ground. I full hold so often on this map playing Ana. I just dominate on defense here. And then second phase, you can start on top of the ship or play on the high ground there. Third phase, same idea. You play so far in the back on third phase, you like almost never get flanked. Great on defense. Still good on offense. Bit tougher, but you can make it work because if they don't touch you on like even second phase, you can play up the stairs and like you get pretty long good sight lines there. Defense, definitely up there. Just for the sake of like keeping this nice and consistent. I would really put this here. I'd put it on great. Sure, why not? And bad, would any map really be bad? There's actually, I rated one bad map, which is Ilios Ruins. But the only problem is Ilios has one map, or one picture, and I can't actually put all three of them. So the only bad maps, what did I say earlier? Ilios Ruins is probably my least favorite. That might be it. I don't think I said anything else was bad. Oh, maybe... yeah, no, I don't think I said anything else. Oh, Numbani attack. Yeah, if I could split the map up into attack and defense phases, that would make this tier list a lot better visually. But I did verbally say it, so if you watch the whole video and you listen to the rationale, you would know there are some in bad categorically, depending on the phase and depending on if it's a control map with different things. But yeah, Dorado second attack is also bad, but you'd have to listen to me talk and spiel about the whole map to get the whole scoop of the picture and what I rated bad. Sucks to be you. You better watch the video. All right, and that should be the tier list. I think I thought it was like a 20-minute video. The thing about tier lists is it's just rambling, and I know some people don't like, they just like looking at the picture and drawing conclusions off of it. But please just listen to what I was saying there. There's a lot more things I put in here than what it appears to be. That'll be all. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.